Okay, ladies, you understand the rules you're fighting under. You listen to me all the time, you keep yourself protected. When I say stop, you stop. If you want to touch gloves, do it now. Let's do this.
Main event time, ladies and gentlemen. A possible five-minute rounds in the women's bantamweight division. The pitbull Bethe Correia against the preacher's daughter, Holly Holmes. This is super important for these individuals. A lot on the line here.
Holly Holmes has not stood still since she walked out. She was in the octagon pacing back and forth. She is so fired up for this. I can't think of a time when I've seen a more focused and fired up Holly Holmes, which makes for a very interesting bout.
She looks in absolutely impeccable condition, as she normally does. But look at that frown of Correia.
Yeah.
She has a real self-confidence and realness about her, Dan, that you were alluding to in the walkouts.
Yep, she wears her emotion on her face, John. We can all see and feel how she is in the octagon right now. We can see how she's feeling. We can see when she's emotional, when she's fired up, when she's angry. Holly Holmes is very good at hiding that, but in her body language and in her posture right now, you can see how much more fired up she is.
But it's interesting, Correia actually believes that she's been rewarded for that honesty and that straightforward, hard-working ethic, wearing your heart on your sleeve type approach. She thinks it's a champion's quality. She learned so much from that loss to Ronda Rousey. The experience alone, it was so high profile. It's setting her up to really try and go through the gears in her UFC career.
Now this is interesting, John. I'm not sure whether this is a cautious or a tentative Bethe Correia, but it's almost like she's waiting for Holly Holmes to make the first move, which is a good game plan really, because Holly Holmes is the counter striker here. She's the one that likes to wait for you to move forward, and then she will punish you with it. You can see how she's using those feints. She's trying to draw an attack from Bethe Correia, which at the moment she's not getting.
So as we saw when the cards came up, minus 600 favourites for Holmes, plus 400 underdog Correia. That is the longest odds here of the night.
Holly showing the side kick to the body early. Bethe Correia shook it off, but it's a very useful tool at maintaining distance. There it is again. It's a good feeling out tool as well, because it's very difficult to be punished for it.
It's a signature of Jackson Wink, and one that she employs very, very well.
And it's so rare.
Laser focus from Holly Holmes.
It's so rare as well, John, to find a fighter that starts with one particular coach and stays with them through their whole career. And we're not just talking about a career in mixed martial arts. We're talking about a very, very prolific boxing career as well. So it just shows how much, not only how much confidence she has in Mike Winkle, John, but also how good he is as a coach to take someone from a beginning to a championship.
And just to go on from that point, recent results she thinks almost reflect on her coaches. She wants to reward them with the victory. She was so upset with what happened with Jermaine Durandami, but she's put it behind her. However, coming in tonight, it is fighting for them to show their investment in her.
See, that's a good mentality as well, because a lot of fighters, if they lose a couple of fights, they go, I need to switch my training camp.
Yes.
It's the coaches that's the problem. Whereas Holly Holmes took it on herself. Now, that could be a detriment to her if she's putting that pressure on herself, because it will make her more fired up and more emotional. And she doesn't tend to... Oh,
nice,
beautiful.
Just under the arm.
Very nice.
You know who it kind of reminds me of a little bit? Alexander Gustafsson, when he came so close with those high-profile bouts, and then just went on a little bit of a skid, remained with his coaches, but he just needed to mentally get things correct. The physical was there, but it was about the performances.
Yes, yeah, very much so.
And we saw what he did recently.
This is the most tentative I've ever seen Bethe Correia in a fight. She really does seem to be sticking to an intelligent game planning, forcing Holly Holmes to do the work first.
She's always been known for her aggression, but it must be pretty difficult to try and work her way in to the kind of striker that Holly Holmes is.
Oh, good exchange, one each, and Bethe Correia nods and smiles. She felt like that had some substance on it.
How do you feel about that, Dan? That's that kind of mini celebration there, and again. Is that gamesmanship or...?
Well, it can be one of two things. Again, we were talking about Bethe Correia. She wears her emotions on her face. We can see she was happy. We can see she got confidence out of that because she nodded and smiled. I don't think that was a Diaz tactic. I don't think that was trying to get into Holly Holmes' head. But that's the alternative effect of it. It does have that effect as well, especially if Holly Holmes is vulnerable to it. If she feels like that was a good punch, then that will validate Bethe Correia's expression.
Round number 2.
John, I love these signature cornering styles that we get. Obviously, John Crouch has got his own particular style, as well as the Serra-Longo team, which is my favourite. But the Jackson Wink camp, particularly Greg Jackson, has such a relaxed, animated way that he coaches. He's like, just don't look at her when you hit her. That's where you're in danger. It's so light-hearted in the way he puts it across, which really puts his fighter at ease. He very much thinks about how he communicates with his fighters between rounds, and obviously that's why he's such a successful team.
I know you and I are both kind of students of those moments in between rounds. It's absolutely fascinating, and how to instruct the fighter to get the very best out of them, and at what point, given the kind of stress that these athletes are under, which obviously, Dan, you are well aware of.
Yes, it is a lot of stress, and people respond differently. Sometimes you need a fighter that they get back to the corner and you yell at them and you slap them a little bit, and they get fired up that way. Other times you need to calm them down, you need to make them breathe. And given the fact that Holly's been training at Jackson Wink since the beginning, they know her so well.
The crowd really not applauding this fight at the moment, Dan. How do you think that's weighing in on these two bantamweights?
Well, you've got to wonder which one it's going to affect the most, and I have to feel like Bethe Correia is the one that's going to hear the boos and hear the jeering of the crowd and feel like an aggressive flurry is what's needed to kind of recover the atmosphere, if you like. Whereas Holly Holm, I feel, will very much stick to a game plan, much like we saw in her first 2 UFC fights against Pennington and Renault. Disciplined game plan, she knew what she wanted to do, and she stuck to it. I really feel like with the feint jab that Holly Holm uses when she pumps her right hand forward, she could follow that occasionally with a left leg body kick and would have thunderous effects, because a lot of the time when they see her move, because she's so quick, that she gets the reaction, people pull their arms up, which exposes that floating rib. Now Bethe Correia is starting to get a little more confident.
Yeah, it's flying through the air with that right hand.
There we go. That was a nice
high.
Switch high.
Southport versus Orthodox opens up opportunities for the power hand, the power kick.
Clearly respecting the power of Bethe Correia is Holly Holmes. Doesn't want to get caught with anything unnecessary that's going to grow the confidence of the Brazilian fighter.
Sort of faked high and went into that chasse kick, or oblique kick as it's often called. Hiding behind that very Western boxing style defence. Hands high, peeking through the eyebrows.
Yep.
Listen, ladies, I respect the game plan. I respect the game plan and what we're trying to do. We're going to have to make something happen, okay? Let's make contact. Okay, timing, let's go.
A warning for timidity, Dan.
Great refereeing by Mark Goddard. I respect the game plan, but we've got to make something happen. Very to the point.
So much at stake, Dan. I mean, we're talking about a champion and a former title challenger.
This is it. Oh, spinning back fist. I mean, at this level, John, with such high stakes, there are careers on the line here. A win here propels them forward to the title, and a loss sets them back a long way. So you understand that tentative nature in their approach. Plus, obviously, with it being a 5-round fight, people do feel that there's a bit more of time for a feeling out process. Whereas the 3 rounds, you're in, you've got to get it done.
Yes, and Holly Holm very much accustomed to fighting over 5 rounds. Her conditioning has never ever been in question.
Holm working the body kick there. She looks a little cautious in closing the distance with punches here, which surprises me. And if anything, it's almost leaving her open, because she's stepping in with punches, but before she's actually executed her own technique, she's already pulling her head out. She's already expecting Bethe Correia.
Correia closes the distance.
Now we saw that.
Up her hands, last 10 seconds.
Holly Holm immediately backs up to the fence. Such high takedown defense in her record as well.
77% takedown defense for Holm.
Let's make it happen, girls. Let's go.
Round number 3. And Bethe Correia came into this fight saying she didn't feel like Holly Holm is evolving at the same rate at which she is.
Nice kick, even though it was to the forearm, and Bethe blocked it. Still a lot of power in it.
Despite any kind, well, I can't even call it a war of words, because Holm really just wasn't willing to engage in any back and forth. The consummate pro that she is all business, it's all about herself. Concentrate on what she can affect.
It's an interesting comment that Bethe Correia made about the fact that she's improving at a quicker rate. But you have to think that although their records in mixed martial arts are relatively the same, 12 fights to 13 fights, Holly Holmes is a seasoned boxer. She's been doing this a long time, so she's much more settled in her style of fighting. Even though she's crossed over to mixed martial arts, she's employing a lot of the same techniques that she did in boxing. Whereas Bethe Correia is new to this sport. She's a new athlete, so she's constantly learning, adding new things to her game. Head kick! Bethe Correia's down! The run around the head kick comes back! Wow!
Holm is back! Head kick knockout for the preacher's daughter.
Stopped her dead in her tracks. Bethe went down and she was sacked, and 1 punch to finish the job. Amazing, perfect timing.
That is how you finish the fight and put it beyond the reach of the judges.
That, ladies and gentlemen, is perfect technical execution. Constantly pumping the punch, setting up for the head kick. Very, very nice. Let's take a look at that again. What a fantastic knockout finish. So here we go. Holly Holm moving around. Bethe Correia calls her on. Holly feints. She's going to feint again. Bang! There's the head kick right across the face on the business end of the Holly Holm shin. There was no more needed to be done in that situation. Beautiful finish. Look at that. Bethe Correia put an arm up, she was done, she knew she was finished, even though she was only semi-conscious. That sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're waiting for. When we see these tentative game plans where they're feeling each other out, they've spotted an opening and they're waiting for it to present itself. And there it was. Beautiful finish for Holly Holm, who fires herself back into relevance in the bantamweight division.
Picture perfect kick there from Holly Holm. Stopped Correia absolutely in her tracks. Great stuff indeed. Let's send it over to Bruce Buffer to make it all official.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Mark Goddard has called a stop to this contest at 1 minute, 9 seconds of round number 3, declaring the winner by knockout, Holly, the Preacher's daughter!